Let me tell you about Jonas. Jonas is 19 years old. He studies law in Munich. In his spare time, he likes to play soccer. Jonas has a secret which he thinks he cannot share with anyone, not even with his best friend or with his parents. He's just too afraid of anger, rejection, and repulsion. Jonas knows that he has to suppress his sexual drive for his entire life. And he also knows that there will never be a loving and fulfilling partnership that he can enter. Because Jonas is a pedophile. He's only attracted to female children between the ages of 6 and 12 years.
Are the powers that be enforcing the idea that children are sexual from birth? Is the enforced teaching of dogmatic, immoral sexuality being imposed on our youths? Is it going to be compulsory for all children to be taught explicit sex education in the UK? Assalamu alaikum, my name is Mudaffar Haidar, and this is The Machinations.
So yeah, this is a Islamic channel, a Shia Islamic channel called the Islamic Pulse. This is a series under this channel. I had to cut the intro that came right after what you saw, just because they use some music in it. It might be their own music, and I don't want to get some copyright strikes on this channel. But yeah, let's continue, see what he has to say.
Imam Ali alayhi salam once said that verily the heart of a youngster is like an empty plot of land. It accepts whatever is planted there. The hearts and minds of children are extremely susceptible to whatever they hear.
One way you could tell that it's a Shia Islamic channel is that they quote Imam Ali a lot in there, or the other Imams are their favorite go-tos. Sometimes more than Muhammad or the Quran itself. Also, it's Imam Ali. When I was in Iran, I don't know, a lot of the quotes attributed to him, it seems like they took it from many other wise people and just attributed it to Ali. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that they told us in Iran that Ali said, later on in life I found out there was some Greek philosophers that said it originally, and then they just gave it to Ali somehow. I don't know where he got this from though. It might be what they consider to be authentic hadiths, but the hadiths are just they think that the way that they attribute it to the imams are very scholarly, which is not. It's just based on word of mouth. But anyways, children are, yeah, of course, children. It's very easy to brainwash children. That's why we have to not let people like you have access to them.
See, learn and experience, so much so that whatever information they are exposed to and absorb can have a lasting influence on their development into adult life. Haim Ginott, a teacher and child psychologist, said that children are like wet cement. Whatever falls on them makes an impression. Sexual activists know this and are becoming increasingly vociferous regarding the sexual rights of individuals. They've normalized homosexuality, as we can see. Many are talking about the permissibility of incest. Now, there's been a lot of discussion on whether or not the next step is for them to normalize pedophilia. One of the most concerning developments of their agenda is their obsessive focus on the sexual rights of children. There are numerous protagonists asserting that children are sexual from birth, and thus they argue children have the right to experience sexual pleasure. To inform children of their sexual...
Look at this headline. I think he's completely misrepresenting what these... So what does it say? It says, school children as young as 4 to be taught sex consent lessons. I think that's a great thing. I think children will be taught about respecting and enforcing boundaries as part of new relationships classes. Isn't that a great thing? Like to teach children to recognize when something when somebody is getting too close, or because they don't, a lot of these kids, a lot of sexual abuse of children happen because these kids have no idea what the hell is going on. And then once it gets to a point where it's too late, they're so disgusted or think it might be their fault that they don't tell anybody about it. I think this is very good to tell kids that, first of all, when you see something like this happen, that's not okay. So it kind of squeezed this into something else he was suggesting. He was suggesting that they're like teaching maybe molesting children sexually is okay, but then as an example puts a sex education class basically teaching children consent, which could actually save a lot of children from abuse, to recognize that something wrong is going on and tell the teacher or tell their parents. This is actually goes against what you're saying. This is a good tool to use against molesting children. This is the answer. What the hell, like, but just starts with a premise, but then when it tries to say that the tools that we're using to counter abusing children is actually the opposite, like it goes in line with what he was trying to suggest, that we're actually trying to sexualize children. No, this is a defense against what you're suggesting. At least that's what that's that's what I assume when they say consent lessons. Isn't that the exact opposite? What boundaries? It's right there in the subtitle. Boundaries. Isn't that exactly what the opposite of what he was saying?
Rights, these activists believe that children from a very young age have the right to comprehensive sexual education.
Yeah, have the right to education. What, are you saying they don't? It's not.
Prince Henry, you're going to tell Thomas White it's a brilliant idea for him to marry you.
UNESCO, alongside other UN agencies including UNICEF, uphold the rights for children to receive education in how to receive sexual pleasure, masturbation, and homosexuality, amongst other things.
Wait, what was he's using an example about, like, the teacher is saying, they're writing, like, look at these examples that they're using as if they're teaching them about it's about intercourse. This is just romance. These are hearts and, you know, rainbows and stuff. This is what kids always learn about, like princes and princesses and falling in love. What's the problem with this? We have always had these in our children's stories. There was nothing sexual about it. The way we saw it was just wasn't this always? I mean, even in Iran, we had, you know, children's stories about princes falling in love with princesses or stuff like that. This is, why are you squeezing this in here? They just try to fit your, I don't know. Let me go back a little bit.
For children to receive education in how to receive sexual pleasure, masturbation.
Okay, love stories between princes and princesses, first of all, is not a good example to use about teaching kids about sexual pleasure. And also, masturbation, if you stop kids from exploring their own bodies, you're going to have some very sexually frustrated adults and also teenagers at some point. So it's good that they're, like, some people that have the experience to talk to children about them, have been educated on that, know what to do, know the best practices. I mean, I don't know, but I trust them over you, over your Islamic teaching about what's the best thing to do with children, about how to teach them about their body and what they find out about their own bodies, and how to, you know, I mean, I'm pretty sure if they tell us that we should let the children experiment with themselves, and they're using science and data to tell us that this is the best thing to do, and you're using Islam and be like, ew, gross, you're sexualizing children, or like, no, it's them experimenting on themselves, as no one else is involved. I take the scientists' data over your Islamic nonsense any day.
And homosexuality, amongst other things. The original and highly controversial international guidelines on sexuality education, whilst having since been modified, is still in circulation and can be found online.
It's been modified. Oh, so they were wrong and they had to modify it. As if that's a bad thing. As if that's not the strength of the modern way of scientific understanding of the best way of doing things. They think it's a strength that their teaching hasn't changed for 1400 fucking years. That's actually a weakness. It's a strength that people could go back and change. They're like, we made a mistake here, let's modify it. Like, they think this is a gotcha. They think like, oh, look, you changed this. You were wrong. How embarrassing. No, embarrassing for you that you haven't changed anything for 1400 fucking years.
This publication aims to ensure all children in schools worldwide are taught about sex education and is promoted under the banner of preventing unwanted pregnancies, abusive sexual activity, sexually transmitted diseases like HIV and AIDS. The aim
under the banner, as if these things haven't actually helped. They have helped, okay? More children learning, teenagers, I don't know, learning about practices of safe sex has actually prevented unwanted pregnancies and sexually transmitted diseases. Under the banner, well, it's a good banner because it works.
Of sexuality education, however, are to deconstruct and change the sexual and gender norms of society, to promote
if the gender norms are Islamic, then good.
High-risk sexual behavior and to encourage the youngest of children to experiment sexually.
And that's, we're supposed to be, the youngest of children. You mean like your prophet raping a 9-year-old? Okay. There's a difference between teaching children about things that they might be discovering and they're confused about, in using teachers that are educated about this matter and parents, because guess what? They do experience these things. I remember experiencing stuff like that when I was 4. I started noticing girls around age 4. We do. Like, nobody sexualized me. I just started noticing. So we experience these things. I wish that I had somebody to tell me what the fuck is going on when I was 4. That would be helpful. Okay? That would have been helpful. Right? But you think like, oh no, children, sex, should never be mentioned together. Your prophet raped a 9-year-old. Okay? I'd rather have an educated teacher sit down with me when I was 9 to tell me like, hey, this is what's going on. It's okay. Oh, cool. Thanks for letting me know. Than having your fucking prophet rape me, okay? That's preferable. Thank you very much.
The sexual agenda, in fact, sexualizes children and threatens their psychological, physical, and spiritual health.
Look what they just did. They had this picture, where was it, of this drag queen, which is not even about, I know a lot of people don't get these things confused. Drag queens are not, it's not even about, they're not transgender or anything, most of them. I mean, at least not all of them. This is just a costume thing, right? Drag queens are about, it's just basically the same as, costumes that people wear in Disneyland. I mean, people think like, oh no, kids are going to be so confused. They're going to be like questioning their own sexuality. But if another person came up with horns and stuff and it was a character in a cartoon, Nobody would worry about that. The kids. This is, as a kid, if somebody like this kid showed up, we would be like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" No, there's nothing confusing about this. It's colorful. It's pretty. Kids like this kind of stuff. If they don't, they would have been running away. They look at the full clip. They enjoyed the story time. You're confused about it. They're not confused about it. They were having a great time. But if you look at this, what happened after,
sexually.
they show you
The sexual
this.
agenda, in fact, sexualizing
And they
children threatens
put it
their
next to
psychological, physical.
picture something like this, as if like drag queens and pedophiles are like interchangeable. Like, I know this is part of their propaganda. I know what they're doing here, you fucking assholes.
And spiritual health, whilst undermining and violating parental rights and attacking healthy families.
Parental rights. First of all, if you are a shitty parent, you have no right over your children, because guess what? Just because it came out of you doesn't mean you own it. Okay? It's not yours. You can't own other human beings, okay? If you're a shitty parent and other people recognize that being shitty parent, guess what? If they go to school, they might have different standards for what they teach their children. And I'm hoping that they get more access to your children wherever your children are being raised, because even if they get stuff wrong, they do a much better job than you guys as parents.
Family life, which is the bedrock of society. Today,
wait,
in the studio, family life, which is the bedrock of society.
I know I'm pausing it too much. Some people are going to complain. I don't care.
Psychological, physical, and spiritual health, whilst undermining and violating parental rights and attacking healthy family life, which is the bedrock of society. Today, in the studio, we have Sister Zainab Thani, school teacher and mother of 3, to take a look at some excerpts taken from the learning objectives.
Assalamu alaikum.
This is mother of 3, as if that makes her an expert.
You may find some of these learning objectives shocking, but it's important for us to know what our children will be taught in schools. Learning objectives for level 1, ages 5 to 8. People receive messages about sex, gender and sexuality from their cultures and religions. Girls and
Wait, okay, what's wrong with this? This is just an observation, which is true. What's shocking about this? Yeah, okay. That's just an observation, which is true.
and religion. Girls and boys have private body parts that can feel pleasurable when touched by oneself. Bodies can feel
Which is objectively true.
good when touched. Touching and rubbing one's
Wait, what is this list? Sorry. Section, is this the stuff that they're going to be teaching the kids?
And some of these learning objectives shocking, but it's important for us to know what our children will be taught in schools. Learning objectives for level 1, ages 5 to 8. People receive messages about sex, gender and sexuality from their cultures and religion.
Okay, this is objectively true, but are they going to teach, like, the sexual part is pretty straightforward, but kids are going to learn about the fact that they're learning this from their religions? I mean, I don't know how they're going to do this. That's pretty advanced level stuff. But I'm pretty sure it's going to translate into some coloring books, some harmless, stuff. I mean, stuff that is going to be like, oh, look at this and that, stuff that, my parents think this, but your parents think that. Like, it's going to translate. It's not going to be like, it's not going to be these bullet points. They're not going to put it in front of the kids. The way that they're going to teach the kids these things is going to be in a lot more cute and healthy way. Whatever, pretty sure it's going to.
Girls and boys have private body parts that can feel pleasurable when touched by oneself. Bodies.
This is actually. Kids are going to do this to themselves, okay? Once they find that, they're going to do this to themselves. And I'm pretty sure that if somebody told them, like, okay, this is okay, just do it in private, it's a much healthier thing to do than to shame them. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them are going to grow up to have very unhealthy sex lives or frustrations or shame or disgust of themselves if you constantly make exploring your own body a taboo thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're going to teach them these things, but I'm pretty sure the implementation of these is not going to be as scary as these people are going to make it seem to be.
Can feel good when touched. Touching and rubbing one's genitals is called masturbation. Masturbation is not harmful, but should be done in private.
Oh, there you go. I was right. Okay? Which masturbation is not harmful, which is true. Okay? So, I wish somebody told me when I was a kid, because they told us that, you know, you're going to get diseases, you're going to go blind, you're going to get acne. All that last one actually worked better than everything else. Because when they told us that you're going to get diseases, we were like, whatever, it's worth it. When they told us you're going to go blind, you're like, whatever, it's worth it. But when you're going through your teenage years and you want to look good, when they said that there's going to be acne brick all over your body if you masturbate, we're like, okay, we need to cut this shit out. So, which is, I mean, but it's so much, like, when you're going through these years and you're discovering these things, the amount of frustration that you go through, you don't have to go through that. I mean, that's great. I'm glad that this is part of their agenda, to teach their kids this, so that they don't have to be disgusted of their own feelings when they're going through these things. And good thing that, yeah, do it in private. So, you know, like, it's okay, just do it in private. Great lesson. Where is it
Would you
shocking?
feel comfortable with your child of 5 to 8 years old being taught this in school?
Nope.
Yeah.
Not at all.
What? No. Okay. I would. What I would not be comfortable my children being taught in school is your Quranic teachings. Okay, which in Iran, where you are right now, they are being forced to learn instead of useful information as soon as they go to school. Your books. I mean, this is fucking irritating. They act like the list of things that they told us is compared to the shitty teachings in the Quran about rape, about murder, about torture. You know, from a very early age, they tell you some of the details of hell. We had this teacher in our school, elementary school, as young as 7 or 6. They tell us that they're going to be pouring lead down your throat when you go to hell. These guys are comfortable with that, but they're not comfortable with telling kids that it's okay to, explore your body. That's where you draw the line. Okay.
Objectives for level 2, ages 9 to 12. Both men and women can give and receive sexual pleasure. Legal abortions performed under sterile conditions by medically trained personnel is safe. Many boys and girls begin to masturbate during puberty. Steps for proper use of
all objectively true. What's the problem?
Condoms. Learning objectives.
Okay, this last one was very good. Okay, this is fair. This is great. This stops unwanted pregnancy. Like, go to countries like, I don't know, Philippines, for example, and I'm sure they're actually now fighting this there. There's so many unwanted pregnancies starting at age 12, 13, and 14. It's a huge fucking problem. It's good that they're starting early to tell them, because you being disgusted that your 12-year-olds were, doing something with each other. Okay, you're disgusted by that, but we sane people, we'll just make sure that the consequences of that is not going to be something that they're going to regret for their whole life. Okay, they're kids. They might do some things behind your back that you didn't want to, but it's better that if they do something, it's not going to scar them for life. So this is important to teach children.
Learning objectives for level 3, ages 12 to 15. Respect for different sexual orientations and gender identity.
Oh, why? How horrible! Oh no. They're teaching them to respect other people. Those monsters.
Access to safe abortion and post-abortion care.
Great. Fantastic. Stop unwanted pregnancies.
Both men and women can give and receive sexual pleasure with a partner of the same or opposite sex.
Objectively true. Now they're 12 to 15. If they didn't know this by now, I wonder what took them so long. So good, objectively true, not shocking at all.
The guidelines also state that adolescents, by the time they're 15 years old, need to be exposed to advocacy that promotes the right to and access to safe abortion. The publication strongly promotes respect for sexual and gender diversity and people with diverse sexual expression, and schools are strongly advised to consult with LGBTI groups when developing their sexual education.
So they're like, our kids are not going to be homophobes. How tragic!
Programs.
Getting ready for work. A meticulous process that involves shaving, glitter, hairspray, and a wig. But instead of performing in a nightclub,
who wants to be a drag queen when they grow up?
Little Miss Hot Mess,
Who is ready for a story?
is the host of Drag Queen Story Hour.
This one is called
Oh my god, these kids, they're being put in such harm's way. Look, they're having a good time. Their friend is cute. She has fluffy hair. I would like that as a kid. I wish she showed up at my school. She's reading them stories. What's wrong with this?
Worm Loves Worm.
Talking, singing, and reading.
We can both be
Oh
groomed.
no, look at them. Look how miserable they look. They're being what's wrong with this? They're having a good time.
Of preschoolers, toddlers, and their caregivers.
And
The hips on the drag queen go swish, 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 swish.
see if a Disney princess showed up and it was like, who wanted to be a princess? And people raise their hand and she like, okay, I'm a princess. Follow me. I'm gonna dance like a princess. And nobody would be. Would you have the same level of concern? Probably not. So what's the difference?
And is already looking to expand to other locations.
Drag Queen Story Hour is fantastic because it addresses all of these issues of gender fluidity and self-acceptance and all of these topics that are real, are very, very real.
Penelope wanted to dress kind of
Okay, so I know we have like a diverse view on whether it is scientific or not. We're gonna disagree on that for a long time. I'm actually gonna have a show about this at some point. We're gonna bring a scientist to discuss this with us. But as I mentioned many times, even if you're wrong, which a lot of you are, we can at least agree that transgender people shouldn't be discriminated against, or mistreated, or harmed or abused in any way, right? And a lot of people on both sides of this discussion, we can agree on that at least. Please, can we at least agree on that? And if kids grow up knowing that, hey, this is the more you meet different groups of people, the more understanding you're going to be, the more kind you're going to be to different kinds of people. So meeting people, different kinds of people, is great. Even if you're wrong, which you think that there's no scientific thing behind being transgender or not, which is we'll have that discussion another time, okay? But we do agree, I think most of us agree, that this should not be mistreated. And meeting people that are different, that you haven't been exposed to, is good. It's good for you accepting people. It's good for you being kind to people, because the society is going to demonize people that look different or act different than what you're used to. And if you could prevent that before they grow up by making them meet different people, that's a good thing. That is a good thing. None of these kids are going to get confused about anything. People are like, oh, you're confusing them. No, you get confused because you grew up not seeing things that you're not used to, and now because you're not used to it, when you see it, you're confused. And because you're confused, you're going to think your kid's going to get confused. But they're not going to get confused because they've seen this stuff. They're going to be like, there's nothing, what's wrong with this, right? So you're confused by why other people are not confused. And if you had these things when you were growing up, you wouldn't have any issues with any of these stuff. You would be like, yeah, what's the problem? And is it really that bad for people to just be able to accept other people the way they are? Is that really a bad thing to teach children?
Cool, but Tiny sort of wants her to dress kind of normal. Do you get it? Everyone thinks that this girl is a boy because she's a little bit of a tomboy.
The guidelines undermine parental rights.
I mean, we already have this with a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, you know, when you watch a cartoon, right? There are some characters that you can't even tell if they're a boy or a girl. Like that video game thing, that game, I don't know what is that console in Adventure Time. Like, nobody knows if it's a boy or a girl, right? And kids don't give a shit. Like, you know, like, I don't know. Or maybe they just decide, right? And it's not confusing them. It's not making them go depressed, like, oh my god, I have to know what's going on. My whole world is shattering. I don't understand what's going on. Nothing makes sense anymore. You guys are just fear mongering. You guys just don't like something, and you just have to scare everybody else by involving the children and saying that, oh, we're confusing their minds. They're not confused about anything. Okay, if this confuses them, then why animals speaking in cartoons? Why does that not confuse them? Right? Why are they not confused? Like, what the hell's going on? Animals don't speak. Why are these animals speaking and like walking and having social lives? And you know, you have, anyways. It's pretty obvious. This is just a excuse to scare people about something that is not scary at all.
And state that teachers are likely to be the most skilled and trusted source of information, and that they have a responsibility to act in the place of parents.
Yeah, especially if the parents are some people like you. But notice the background noise, you know, the sound that they try to use to make this scarier than it is. Like, look at the boom, 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 boom. Just listen to it. It's like a scary movie.
That parents fail in their responsibility to educate their children on sexual matters is the international blanket response to any questioning as to the teaching of this topic being the parent's right, and there's no evidence.
Yeah, and you are proof of that the parents can fail.
To support it.
Thank you, sister.
Yeah, you are the evidence. Well, actually, that's anecdotal, but I'm not going to trust you when you say there's no evidence to support it.
The document has undergone various revisions. However, the underlying agenda.
See, okay, sorry for pausing too much, but revisions. They think that it's a gotcha. Like, oh, it has gone under revisions, as if like, oh my god, they're changing things. Look, these people are not even sure about what they're talking about. That's how science works. Okay, that's how the real world works. Okay.
However, the underlying agenda remains the same. Many of the resources being produced for comprehensive sexuality education have been produced already by the IPPF and CICUS, including a publication on sexuality from birth to
attempt to change social norms. Like, yeah, I'm hoping that Islamic social norms are changed.
5 years. In all of these documents, parents are still viewed negatively and are seen as a barrier to sexuality education alongside cultural and religious.
Yeah, because they're not educated. Most of them are not educated. I see their point if that's what they're saying. I mean, I don't trust you, but maybe you're misrepresenting them. But if that's what their studies are showing, it's not very hard for me to believe that.
Just values.
Thank you, brother. Learning objectives found in the revised edition include learning objectives for level 1, ages 5 to 8. All people, regardless of their health status, religion, origin, race, and marriage status, can raise a child and give it the love it deserves. Define sexual abuse. Inappropriate touching and rape are forms of sexual abuse.
Oh, okay. I was surprised. Isn't that true? Good. Thank you for teaching children that inappropriate touching is a form of sexual abuse. You should teach them that. That's good. So that when something happens, they know that this needs to stop. this is a really good thing. This is going to maybe prevent some really horrible child sexual abuse cases. If more kids know about what's accepted and what's not, because a lot of them are confused. A lot of them don't know that what's happening right now it shouldn't be happening right now. So this is great. Thank you for whoever is coming up with these objectives in their education system.
Touching and rape are forms of sexual abuse. Everyone has the right to decide who can touch the body, where and in what way. It is natural to explore parts of one's own body.
Right, because it's your body. It's natural to explore. Yeah, this is again your the fact that people think masturbation is taboo. It's not going to work on the rest of us. I don't even know who the audience for this is. I think we are not really the audience. I think this is mostly for a Shia audience, trying to scare them about the education system and trying to make sure like the Shias in United Kingdom or Shias in United States or other countries, they try to make sure that the education system, Western education system, doesn't influence their children too much. So I think when they're saying these things, they assume that the average audience for this channel is going to find that horrific, as if like, oh no, they're teaching our kids that masturbation is okay, this is not for, I think for normal people, this is not going to be a controversial thing.
Including private parts. Learning objectives for level 2. Ages 9 to 12. It is disrespectful, hurtful, and a violation of human rights to harass or bully anyone on the basis of health status, colour, origin, sexual orientation, or other differences.
Whoa, wow, how horrible. They're teaching them to not bully people because of their color or sexual orientation and their health. What monsters.
Or other differences. Concepts such as menstruation, sperm production, erection and ejaculation. Masturbation does
stuff that your religious parents think are taboo and they're not going to tell you about, and you're confused about your body, so it's a good thing that they're teaching you about it in school. Thank you. Yeah, again, I wish somebody told me this when I was growing up. This would have saved this thought. Masturbation does not cause physical or emotional harm, but should be done in private. Again, are they repeating themselves? Again, I wish this would have saved me a lot of trauma if somebody had told me this when I was growing up.
Not cause physical or emotional harm, but should be done in private. Many boys and girls begin to masturbate during puberty or sometimes earlier. Human beings are born with the capacity to enjoy their sexuality throughout life.
And I know that a lot of people...
Good, this is great. Don't make sexual experiences, don't make the feelings that they're going to have when they're growing up, don't demonize it, don't make them be disgusted of themselves and who they are. This is going to also help a lot of gay children growing up when they've realized that, hey, it seems like most kids are attracted to the same sex. What the hell's wrong with me? Why am I attracted? Sorry, most kids are attracted to a different sex, and they're going to think that there's something abnormal about them. They're going to be like, they're going to think there's something wrong with them, and they don't want to tell anybody because they find it shameful. But now they're going to learn in school, yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. That's going to save them a lot of trauma. So again, thank you.
Who will be watching this will be thinking, no way, this can't be happening. It is happening.
Oh, good. Look, see, this is what I think. We are not their audience, because their average audience is going to see this. They're going to be like, oh no, they're going to teach my children in school that it's okay to be gay. How horrific. Like, they're actually going to get shocked by watching this. So this is not at all intended for us.
We've been asleep.
Speaking from own experience, brother, I am a mother to 3 children, boy of 6, 2 girls of 11 and now 13, and I am actually terrified that my two girls in particular are in the West. They're not in the UK, but they are already being subjected to these sorts of values in schools. And I'll be completely open and honest. My oldest child, my wonderful.
I wish they weren't teaching them that being gay is okay. I wish they were teaching them instead that having raping 9-year-olds is okay. That's the kind of teaching I want for my little girl.
Pure-hearted 13-year-old daughter has herself mentioned terms such as gender change.
Oh no!
So these values.
Oh my God! My daughter's mentioned gender change. Save these children, the poor children.
Are being taught in the curriculum in the West have already sort of seeped through into our children's minds. Learning objectives for level 3, ages 12 to 15. Everyone has a right to speak out against bias and intolerance. Support mechanisms typically exist to assist people experiencing stigma and discrimination.
These are great things. I don't understand what's your problem with this one.
For example, homophobia, non-penetrative.
Okay, so they're saying that if you feel like you're being abused because you're gay, there's going to be people that are going to listen to you and support you. Oh no! What?
Sexual behaviors are without risk of unintended pregnancy and offer reduced risk of STI.
Yes! Yes! Oh my God. So they're gonna tell, okay, so this is great. They're gonna teach children between age 12 to 15, which is exactly the ages that you might start discovering, like, hey, seems like I want to do stuff that I didn't used to want to do before. And seems like our parents think that this is disgusting, so I better not tell them. And they're going to do something that's going to ruin your life. So it's good that they're teaching them ways to do it that is not going to ruin their life.
Including HIV. Emergency contraception can prevent unintended pregnancy, including as a result of lack or misuse of contraception. Contraceptive
So they're saying that even if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. You still have other ways. This is our good things to teach. What do you rather? Are you really so disgusted by your kids experimenting something with another kid that you rather have them get sick, get AIDS, or have like a pregnancy that they didn't want to? Which one is preferable? They're gonna do it even if you can't control them. They're gonna experiment, like, especially if they're not in Iran. You're not gonna be able to control them as much as you want to, right? Because they're gonna be mixed. At least in Iran, I mean, this is not a good thing. Again, a lot of sexual frustration. The boys and girls are completely separate. But since your daughters are in the West, you're just going to think they're not doing things. They're going to do things. They're just not going to tell you. So these education system in the West might actually be saving you a lot of headache for you and your daughter, and you're being so ungrateful for it.
Or sexual assault.
These are just some examples of what the international move to implement comprehensive sexuality education in schools worldwide has in mind. This is what is now being pushed through the United Nations Agenda 2030 into schools around the globe.
Thank you. Finally, United Nations sometimes does good things.
Everyone. The International Planned Parenthood Foundation, the IPPF, is currently the main player behind sex education in schools globally. They are also the largest abortion and deregulation of sexuality organization in the world.
Good. Stop unwanted pregnancies.
The IPPF currently operate in 170 countries worldwide. In the UK, their foothold is the sexual health charity called the Family Planning Association, the FPA.
Go donate.
FPA appear to be one of the main providers of resources for sex education in British schools.
Great,
the British government also includes recommendations to their website, Sexwise, in the new RSE draft guidelines.
All right, so if you're a school and want to know best practices based on experts, now you know where to go.
They are also linked to the NHS, the National Health Service of England, who consults with them on matters of sexual health and reproductive matters.
Great, and they have sources better than the Quran and your stupid hadith.
All of this goes back to the hegemonic organizations like the IPPF, which have a global dominion.
Yes, and
A global dominion. Good thing that, unlike Islam, which doesn't have a global dominion, but it tries to, I'd rather them have a global dominion than your fucking barbaric ideology.
actually an IPPF report claims that the EU is the largest donor to international development and champions reproductive and sexual health and rights.
Thank you,
The
EU.
IPPF European Networks leads efforts to ensure sex reproductive health remains at the heart of EU development policy. IPPF argue that the sexual rights of the youth should not be limited by law or social or religious norms.
Oh no! What? How horrible! Religious norms should not be used to. Wait, what was the exact thing?
Rights of the youth should not be limited by law
Go
or
back.
social remains at the heart of EU development policy. IPPF argue that the sexual rights of the youth should not be limited by law or social or religious norms.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So religious norms should not limit the sex rights, people's sex rights, and you're trying to terrify us with that. That's a great thing. Again, thank you. Are you sure you're not trying to advertise for them?
They operate worldwide and have direct influence over the UN through providing key advisors.
The IPPF promotes abortion and manipulates young minds using scare tactics, such as
Scare tactics. Look at the music that they have in the background. Dun-dun, dun-dun, and they're like the IPPF is using scare tactics. You're using scare tactics. The entire time you're like, isn't this shocking? Isn't this horrifying? Yes, this is happening in your school. And then they're like, IPPF is using scare tactics. What is this quotation mark? What is this? Air quotes is doing.
tactics, such as every minute or every hour a girl dies from a pregnancy-related death. Girls are
Well then, oh, and that's not horrifying? At least that is that they're pointing out to something that is actually horrifying, rather than the stuff that you're pointing out. They're teaching our kids that it's okay to be gay. Do you think that's horrifying? And they're saying, and you think that they're scaremongering by saying that children are dying from unwanted pregnancy, which is actually horrifying.
dying, therefore we need to legalize abortion. You see, it's all about manipulating normality. Since the dawn of the human race,
If normality is Islam, then you have to manipulate normality.
women have been birthing and raising children. And while it's a precarious and painful process, this is normal. But these
It was also normal for most mothers to die many mothers to die at childbirth. And that's what's your argument? Is it just because it's normal, it means it's okay? No, it might be normal, but some things that are normal have to change.
organizations
Oh my God.
and sexual rights activists are pushing to change this age-old natural order of human life.
I mean, do I have to point out your logical fallacy here? Age-old natural doesn't mean good. Okay, this would be an argument against vaccines. Or like, hey, plagues used to reduce populations by millions. It's an age-old natural thing that happens. So fuck vaccines.
And they're getting to our kids before our kids are even old enough to form their own opinions.
They really need
Well, I mean, don't you try to do that? Like, I mean, kids don't form their own opinions just out of thin air. It's either them get to their kids or you, and I'd rather they get to your kids before you do.
help. They do not need the teachers because teachers sadly are being paid. They have to teach.
Oh, teachers are being paid. How's that? Wait, go back. What are you trying to say here?
Opinions.
They really need our help. They do not need the teachers because teachers sadly are being paid. They have to teach what they're being told to teach. But we, as parents, have the duty to protect them. We can't.
They are more educated than you, and they have access to way better resources and much better knowledge than your barbaric ideology. So I trust them over you. Just because they came out of you doesn't mean that you're going to be better at teaching them what's right and what's wrong.
Cannot expect our schools and our teachers to provide for our kids to look after them. It's for us to do that.
Stay tuned
don't
for
hit on
more,
your microphone.
inshallah.
Inshallah. Oh, look
Have
at
the dominant power.
Did you hear that? Look at the kids laughing in the back. It's like a horror movie, and they're telling us that they're fear-mongering.
Use the
Anyways, that's about it. Look at the evil West. Just be scared. All right. By the way, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Atheist Republic. We're growing really fast, so thank you to the people that are joining our YouTube channel. Anyways, let me know if this is a good format. Do you want to see? Send me recommend YouTube video links in the description of this. For if you want to recommend something for me to review. Anyways, bye.
Atheists are under attack in many places. If they were Christians, their voices would be heard. If they were Jews, their voices would be heard. If they were Muslims, their voices would be heard. But they are atheists, and not many seem to be listening. Let's make it difficult for them to ignore us. We have built a global community, and now we are tearing down geographic, cultural, and language barriers so we can find each other and support each other. In the last decade, we have built the largest atheist community in the world. Now we're doing the same in other languages. With your help, we have started Atheist Republic in Persian and Arabic.
انضميت مؤخرا لأسرة Atheist Republic وحيصير عندي بودكاست باللغة العربية.
As we grow, we can dedicate more time, staff, and resources to start doing the same in Spanish, Portuguese, Malay, Bengali, Urdu, Hindi, and other languages. We are providing community, support, informative content, and amplifying the voices of those who need protection, especially in countries where people feel isolated simply for their lack of belief. We want to be there for them, and we are only getting started. Help us get there. Check in the description for ways you can support our projects.